Workplace violence. This training will provide an overview of workplace violence, ways to identify potentially violent or abusive situations, information on the response and de-escalation of an act of violence, and the importance of an incident response plan and violence prevention plan. This training is divided into 8 sections. 1. Definitions, types, and prevalence. 2. Workplace violence consequences. 3. Risk factors for workplace violence. 4. Organizational prevention strategy. 5. Employee prevention strategy. 6. Intervention strategy. 7. Post-event response. And 8. State regulations. Section 1. Definitions, types, and the prevalence of workplace violence. What is workplace violence? The National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health defines workplace violence as any physical assault, threatening behavior, or verbal abuse occurring in the work setting. Additionally, the World Health Organization and the International Council of Nurses defines it as incidents where staff are abused, threatened, or assaulted in circumstances related to their work, including commuting to and from work, involving an explicit or implicit challenge to their safety, well-being, or health. There are 4 types of workplace violence. The first type is criminal intent, where the perpetrator has no relationship to the business or its employees and is usually committing a crime in conjunction with violence. The second type is customer or client. This type of violence is the most common in healthcare settings. The customer or client relationship includes patients, family members, and visitors. This also would be referred to as client-on-worker violence. This type of violence most commonly occurs in emergency, geriatric, or psychiatric settings and waiting rooms. The third type of workplace violence is worker-on-worker. This violence is between co-workers and is commonly referred to as lateral or horizontal violence. It includes bullying, and it manifests as verbal or emotional abuse. This is often directed at employees at a lower hierarchical level. The last type of violence is with a personal relationship. In this type of workplace violence, the perpetrator has a relationship with the employee outside of work, which ultimately enters into the workplace. Some numbers related to workplace violence. Most studies show that healthcare employees, particularly nurses, are at a far higher risk of workplace violence when compared to other professions. For healthcare employees, assaults make up 10 to 11% of workplace injuries involving days away from work. Patients are the largest source of violence in healthcare settings. Although they make up 80% of incidents, they are not the only source. In 2013, healthcare and social assistance employees had an incidence rate of 7.8 cases of serious workplace violence per 10,000 employees. From 2002 to 2013, serious workplace violence incidents were 4 times more common in healthcare than in private industry. Between 2011 and 2013, workplace assaults ranged from 23,540 and 25,630 annually, with 70 settings. Studies show 21% of nurses and nursing students reported being physically assaulted, and over 50% reported verbal abuse in a 12-month period. Underreporting. Many experts believe the statistics regarding workplace violence are not entirely accurate and only represent the tip of the iceberg. Some of the reasons for underreporting are the perception that violence is a part of the job, poor organizational policies, procedures, and training, complex reporting procedures that are burdensome, concerns that violence happens frequently and there's a lack of response, fear that reporting will negatively affect the employee, and the belief that some patients cannot be held accountable for their actions. This brief overview concludes Section 1. A short quiz will follow.